Oh, what's up, dog? Back on the live stream. This feels good. For some odd reason, I was having issues, technical issues, and they're fixed. So, welcome back to the live stream. I'm really excited about this. I think this is a really cool thing. I know it kind of sucks having to you know, have YouTube open the entire time, but we'll keep it rolling. Topic today that I really want to cover um is this all of a sudden desire to it just to ruin the leagues. I think this expansion thing with the NFL and the MLB and the NBA is even talking about doing some sort of tweak with what they're doing. I, I mean, is it really broken? Are we really at a point in these major sports to where we need to do something drastic? The only sport that I think that needs fixing is Major League Baseball, and I don't think it has to do with the playoff structure or how long the season is. I mean, the season's extremely long. I think it can be shortened. However, then you run into the Players Association. Yeah, the league's going to want to pay them less money, and the Players Association is going to go, well, wait a second, we actually want more because now the games mean more. Something stupid, right? 815-714-9044. That's the phone number, 815-714-9044. I'll explain this playoff structure if people haven't checked it out yet for the NFL. It also includes a 17th game, and I think that the way the numbers kinda the way the numbers get crunched, it brings about 5 million or 5 billion. So just it brings more money to the Players Association in the NFL, like 5 billion more dollars to to the league, if I have those numbers correct and allocated correctly. It's just a money grab, man. So now you have an expansion in the NFL, which would bring two more teams, which would actually create a bye for the top team in the conference. Because as of right now, the two top teams in each conference get a bye. But here's kind of my issue with that is like you're further separating the top team and putting them closer to the Super Bowl. Are you not? Because they get that bye, and instead of I mean, I guess it's pretty similar, but at the same time, you're basically lowering the bar. That's what you're doing in the NFL. Would it be more exciting? Yeah, it sure. Because at the end of the season, when your team is 6-10 and 7-10 could get you in the playoffs, or if your team's 8-8 and 8-9, like you could lose week 17 and still make the playoffs, and you could be 8-9. I don't think much changes here. You're just putting it on a larger scale. Like, are we okay with this structure? I mean, I don't think the NFL was broken. Conspiracy theory, these gigantic contracts are coming out and the NFL wants more money. There's a thought. Like, I'm not actually a conspiracy theorist, but I can't sit here and say, "Wow, the Major League Baseball and the NFL are really just doing this for the fans. No, that's not at all what they're doing. Because if this was a fan-centric decision to make for both leagues, they would have done something that let the fans vote, or they would have come out publicly with this before it was done. You know what I mean? Like they would have had a press conference and said, "We're interested in making the game more fan friendly. We want to know what the fans think, etc., etc." But no, it just comes out like, "Hey, here's the proposal with the new CBA, with the NFL. So yeah, an extra game during the season, expanded NFL playoff." I don't agree with it. I'm I'm a purist when it comes to one, the way the game is played, and two, this playoff structure that we've been so used to for the past however many years in both leagues. Major League Baseball having, I mean, in both instances, actually, you're going to have sub 500 teams in the playoffs. Now, I understand the storyline that could be created if you're in the NFL. Oh, a 7-10 team squeaked into the playoffs, and now they're one win away from the Super Bowl. Okay, I get it. I understand. I understand that. I understand the marketability of a 7-10 team going to the possibly going to a Super Bowl. However, that 7-10 team clearly isn't good because they went 7-10. So yeah, like is there a likelihood of them being a Cinderella story? Sure. But probably not. You're probably just going to see a really terrible 7-10 team play in the first round of the playoffs and get smoked. Same thing with baseball. You're going to have like a 74 win team make the playoffs, and everybody's going to see why they're a 74 win team. I'm sorry, I just I don't agree with it. I think it's a giant money grab from both leagues. And will you get more viewership when this thing kicks in? Yeah, maybe. But then what happens when everybody hates it? Like the first year might be really great. What happens when people decide that they hate it and you lose people long term? Like, have you thought, has the league thought about that? 815-714-9044. 815-714-9044 is the phone number to interact with the show. Calling in and sharing your thoughts is one requirement of the show, but the other requirement, because this is live at lunch, is to tell everybody what you had for lunch or what you're eating for lunch. Because I got to tell you, for people watching, well, for people listening, when you hear what other people have for lunch, it makes the decision to get something for lunch way easier. Speaking from experience. Like, man, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want for lunch today. And they're like, "Hey, what do you got over there?" "Oh," it's more like, Really?" Oh, it's a BLT. Like, sick. I want a BLT. So then you make your way down to, who sells BLTs? I can't think of who sells BLTs, but let's just call it Potbelly, right? You make your way down to Potbelly and you get yourself a BLT and that's it. You're happy. Everybody's everybody's good to go. So that's a requirement of the show. 815-714-9044. Talking new playoff structure and new season structure of the NFL. That playoff structure bleeding into the MLB as well. Do we think that they sat down and talked about this together? Because it's pretty similar. Aside from the NFL getting to pick who they want to play in the first round. Like they're oddly similar, but the NFL is in a much better position as far as who's watching and social interaction. Major League Baseball is, I mean, they're they're in a ditch and they need to fix that quick. And the good news is, I wrote an article about a week ago, week and a half, talking about how Major League Baseball needs to make certain changes. And while those changes were being implemented by certain players, when I wrote that article, in a matter of days, now I'm not saying like they read my article, but in a matter of days, Tim Anderson has a YouTube channel now. Michael Lorenzen, the Reds outfielder slash pitcher. I don't know when the video is from, but I saw a video on YouTube featuring him. Momentum Sports. I think it's just Momentum. Trevor Bauer's company. And that's another thing, Trevor Bauer. I mean, he's kind of leading the way here. I know everybody wants to talk about how like Tim Anderson and Marcus Stroman and those guys are really active on social media, but Trevor Bauer is like, look, if it's cool, I want to film it, and that's how we're gonna do this. He and Mike Clevenger, it's actually a really cool video. Mike Clevenger and Trevor Bauer, quote unquote, crashed a varsity baseball scrimmage, high school, and like they're playing outfield, they're hitting, they're talking shit to each other on the field. I mean, it's if you like baseball or you like the behind the scenes stuff like that, it's that's a video to watch. Easy to find. I'm sure if you type in Trevor Bauer and Mike Clevenger, you'll find it. But I think that those are the things that Major League Baseball needs. That's what they need to do to grow the game, not change the playoff structure and get damn near half the league into the playoffs. I don't agree. I don't agree with those things. I don't agree with changing something that wasn't really broken. And what does this create? Are we going to play baseball into like November 15th? Because the first team gets a bye, and then team 2, 3, and 4 get to pick who they play 5, 6, and 7. And it's not a one-game playoff. It's a 3-game series. So do they play 3 days back to back to back? Well, if they did that, that wouldn't be, I mean, that they're not going to agree to that. So what? Maybe you play today, tomorrow, and then you get a day off, or you play today, get a day off, play the next day and the next day. Man, I really don't think these players are going to like it. And Trevor Bauer clearly didn't like it when he voiced his opinion on momentum. Again, I'm not a fan. I think if you just kept it as 2 wild card spots, they play that 1-game playoff. It's really good baseball. I'm not sure. and I'm taking a step back and looking at it and then deciding, "Is this good baseball or not?" And it is. It is. A lot of people enjoy playoff baseball the way it is. But Rob Manfred is notorious for making dumb decisions. Oh, and by the way, that playoff structure at the end of the day is for a piece of metal. Bit of old news, but I'm sorry. I can't the commissioner of baseball he made a mistake, but calling it a chunk of metal or a piece of metal, like, come on, bro. What are you doing? Get it right. And as far as the NFL is concerned, look, your quarterbacks are making $30 million a year. Do we really need like is that why? I want to know the legitimate reason why we're going to a 17-week season and why the playoff structure is expanded. I money I can't argue any other point than it being a money grab. Jerry Jones had to have his hand in that. Had to. 815-714-9044 is the phone number. 815-714-9044 is the phone number. It's also in the description. One line open. Once the budget gets increased, I'm talking to my board members. Once the budget gets increased, I'll have two phone lines. It's a pretty big deal. Talking NFL and MLB playoff structure, revamping. The NFL is going to a 17-week season. Now I know the NFL fans, I haven't really gauged the feeling on the NFL. I know NFL fans are like, "Sweet, more football." I don't know what the general consensus is to this new possible structure, but I do know that there are gonna be a lot of people that are hardcore football fans that enjoy it simply for the fact that it's more football. But then I guess you could say that the positive thing is now the NFL playoffs are gonna run a little bit longer. So, let's just call it what? If you have so, that's just a weekend, it's another weekend, right? So, you have instead of February 3rd, you have February 10th, and then when did the XFL start? Is that gonna bleed into the XFL? Like, is that are they pushing back the XFL? There's so many factors that just now thinking of. Because if the XFL starts immediately after the Super Bowl, you're gonna have a lot of happy football fans. Actually, no, because well, yeah, bye week. We're gonna play football until March in the NFL. Because you have, if I'm not mistaken, there's a bye in there. Or I remember when this kind of came up, Pat McAfee was like, "Hey, look, we're gonna need another bye. Like these players are gonna want another bye week if you play them another game." I mean, players are already pretty beat up week 16 in week 17. So could be two buys, which means there isn't one more week of football. It's technically two. So that puts you at what? February 20th, and then you have another round of football. So yeah, I mean, we're pretty much, if I'm thinking right, we're playing until the end of February, early March. And if that's right, you're going to be turning on the Super Bowl, and then if you don't like a commercial, you could probably flip over and catch a Cactus League game. I mean, it's kind of a dream, right? But I just don't I have a hard time believing that either one of these leagues made those decisions and are proposing those decisions strictly for the fans' sake. I have a hard time believing that. It is extremely the way these leagues are structured are completely corporate, and this seems like a corporate money grab. Let me know what you think. 815-714-9044 is the phone number. 815-714-9044. Are you approving the NFL and or MLB playoff structure as well as that extra game now that the NFL gets? If the CBA is if it passes and all that other stuff. The other thing that is I think is pretty interesting about football now is I haven't really talked a lot about the XFL simply for the fact that I wanted to give it a couple weeks, and we're what, 2 weeks into the XFL season, but the Roughnecks are 2-0. I still don't know all the teams. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a bad XFL fan. Actually, I'm not even a fan. But I'll give you this. The XFL is going to work. One, because it's backed by the very, very deep pockets of Jim McMahon. The first time the XFL started, there was no social media, if I'm not mistaken. Like, there may have been MySpace and Facebook may have been around, but this idea of sports culture living on social media, that didn't exist. But now the XFL has an opportunity to constantly show highlights on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram stories and Snapchat, and they're everywhere, increasing their marketability. There's also different players, like Cardell Jones is easily the biggest name in the XFL. PJ Walker is another one who plays for Houston, who's with the Colts. I have this idea that and it's not wild and it's not really innovative. It's just like a kind of yeah, duh. As this XFL evolves, I kind of feel like of instead of competing with each other, with the XFL and the NFL competing with each other, I think the XFL should use the I'm sorry, I think the NFL should use the XFL as kind of like a D league or like a minor league. I don't necessarily know how you would affiliate that. You would clearly need more teams, and that's not something that you can. I mean, you can't just blow this thing up and have can have 32 XFL teams next year. But future wise, I think that would be a good decision for the XFL and the NFL. And the reason being is okay, let's just say, and people could agree with this now. Mitchell Trubisky needs work. And instead of going to our second string guy and sitting you on the sideline, we're sending you to the XFL. Or instead of a defensive player coming back ice cold off of an injury, we're going to send you to the XFL for a week. Kind of like a rehab stint in baseball. Just ideas. I just kind of feel like the XFL and the NFL could really work together and create this football network that promotes these players continuing to play. There's a lot of spots on a football team roster, but you do see players get released and get cut because they either don't fit or yeah, they might not be good enough. But good enough for the XFL. I mean, you can't come on, you can't sit here and tell me that somebody who gets cut from an NFL team isn't good enough to go play in the XFL because XFL football, the actual game of XFL football is not that great. It's slow. You can obviously tell that these players are not all NFL caliber. I just feel like it can work. And plus, think about this. Antonio Brown gets cut from gets cut from Oakland, and then he signs with the Patriots. Okay, so then that doesn't work. Then he gets released by the Patriots, and instead of going nuts and posting everything on social media that he did, and altercations with cops and just all this other stuff, instead of not having anything to do and doing all that, the XFL calls and goes, "Hey, Antonio, listen, we have an opportunity for you. This team wants to try you out, wants to run you through a physical, and you can play football for the what Wildcats in a week." You can't tell me that that would be good. People are going to tune into that game. People are going to watch Defenders Wildcats because Antonio Brown suited up for the Wildcats. And it wouldn't even be like a publicity stunt. Like, go play football. Now, specifically, Antonio Brown would probably say, "I'm too good for the XFL. I need 10 million." And the XFL would go, "Okay, talk to you later." So maybe bad example on the player part, but you get where I'm going. 815-714-9044. 815-714-9044 is the phone number to chime in. What do you think about the XFL so far? We're 2 weeks in, and, I'm indifferent. My favorite part about this is the broadcast style. I really enjoy the spontaneous sideline reporting or the to me, it feels like there's more on-field mics. Could be wrong. Could be just because there's not, like, 70,000, 80,000 people there, but I enjoy the style of broadcast, and as far as the league rules, PJ Walker was on ESPN 1000, earlier today, and a question that he was asked was, "Hey, what's your favorite part? What's your favorite rule that the XFL has implemented that you think the NFL should?" And I didn't really expect him to say this, but he said the 1, 2, or 3 point try after a score. I gotta be honest with you, I completely agree with that. And I know earlier I'm saying, I'm a sports purist, don't mess with the game. But there's a way that you can improve the game instead of making the playoff structure the way they're proposing it and throwing in an extra game. How about making it more competitive that when a team is down 9, they still have a chance with 14 seconds left? Or how about, that creates more strategy. If you're up 6-0 and you score a touchdown, you're up 12. Okay. Now you could go for 3 to make it 15. Maybe you go for 1. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's things that coaches are gonna have to start thinking about if this was implemented in the NFL. Now I know what kickers are gonna say. Well, you're gonna start. We want to kick. Hello, we want to kick. Understood. Just saying. I just kind of feel like the NFL could maybe take some notes. I also thought about this one. Now, tell me if this is a stupid idea, because I didn't want to tweet this because as we've seen in the past couple days, anytime I throw an opinion out on Twitter, it just gets it just gets fucking blown up. Major League Baseball rule, new rule, right? Going into 2021. Your team is down, the Angels are down 2-0 to the Houston Astros. Yikes. Jose Altuve hits a deep fly ball to center field with 2 runners on in the top of the ninth. See where I'm going with this? Mike Trout is back at the warning track and he jumps and he makes the catch. Robs a home run. That could have been a 3-run homer. That would have put the game out of reach, 5-0. But wait a second. Mike Trout took 3 runs away from the Astros. So the Angels get those 3 runs. And now it's 3-2. You could have a walk-off catch. How sick would that be? Is that dumb or no? I feel like that would be sick. Or I guess you could say, but or you only put it you only delegate it to home runs. Like you have to rob a home run. You can't you can't rob a base hit and take a run away. Like get that run. It only counts for home runs. I'm just spitballing here. If the MLB wants some ideas, call me. Cuz I'm not going to sit here and go, "Well, yeah, I think in the top of the ninth if somebody's winning, I think they have to bunt." Like I'm not going to give you stupid ideas. Unless you thought that the home run robbery running thing is if you thought that was a stupid idea, then just don't say anything about that. I just think Major League Baseball can make different decisions to market their game, like decentralizing their media. It's just what I got. And did you see the Braves are trying to, or maybe they did, Braves fans are petitioning to I, rehire or unfire, like something like that. Their sideline reporter, and a lot of people were saying that the Atlanta Braves were the ones to make that decision. That's not that's not true. That sideline reporter was under contract with Fox, and that was a that was a Fox broadcast decision. Sure, the Braves probably had some pull in that, but that was a Fox decision. It's the way broadcasting works. You're not affiliated with a team, although they probably have some say. You're affiliated with a network, sometimes multiple. Which, speaking of networks and broadcasters, ESPN announced earlier today that the Sunday Night Baseball crew, Matt Vasgersian, Alex Rodriguez, Buster Olney, and no Jessica Mendoza. I'm gonna be real with you. I didn't like her anyway. And this also probably has a lot to do with her little controversy when she said that what Mike Fiers did was bad for the game, something along those lines. Like, come on. Now, people are wrong because I did see those replies. People are wrong when they're like, "Well, you're a girl, so pipe down." No, it's not. That's not the way it works. Um, is a very dumb thing to say, and I think ESPN is just protecting themselves by not bringing her back. I also don't like Alex Rodriguez, though. I am not a fan of A-Rod. Watch him play, I guess. But I I don't think he's a very good analyst, not a good color commentator, and I can't stand his voice. I cannot stand his voice at all. Take a quick second. Be right back. Is there a commercial? No, of course not. Of course not. Be right back.
Playing from I.
Last thing I'll say, and then I'll let everybody get back to their day. The worst part about sports nowadays is Chicago. Yeah, I totally mean that. Bulls in action tonight. Blackhawks shouldn't play the rest of the season. Time to clean house. Definitely time to clean house. We'll talk more about the Blackhawks and the Bulls on tomorrow's episode of the Part Timer Podcast. Um, there's there's some situations that need to be kind of talked out. So look forward to that in tomorrow's episode. Follow the podcast account on Twitter at Part Timer Pod, and if you'd like, follow me at Shy Sports Josh. Um, Different content may vary. You may like it, you may not. But that's gonna do it for live at lunch. I almost said live on lunch. Live at lunch, the second stream, and we'll keep doing this. Also, I have an idea. Let me know what you think. Thinking about going live. Think about streaming after the Hawks game on Friday, tomorrow night against the Predators. Yes, against the Predators. And we'll conclude the season and we'll give our trade if anybody hasn't been traded by then. We'll give our trade predictions because we really got to clean some house. So thanks for tuning in. Again, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow the podcast account on Twitter, and I hope everybody has a great day.
Are you sure you want to enter end button? Press end button.